when you're looking up at people or waiting for people to get out of their trailer or whatever, that dissipates it. When everybody's in cahoots, in sync, it just enriches the whole process. And that's the way this show was.
Sam Elliott just broke his legendary silence and named 7 actors he absolutely despises. What these Hollywood stars did to earn the hatred of America's most beloved cowboy will destroy their reputations forever. That voice, that mustache, that unmistakable presence that screams authentic American masculinity. Sam Elliott has been Hollywood's gold standard for rugged, no-nonsense characters for over 5 decades. But behind that calm, measured exterior lies something Hollywood doesn't want you to know about. Sam Elliott keeps grudges. And when a man who spent his entire career embodying honor, integrity, and old-school values tells you exactly which actors have violated those principles, you listen. See, Elliott isn't just another Hollywood actor playing dress-up. He's the real deal. A man who lives by the same code his characters represent. Respect the craft, honor your word, and never let ego destroy the work. Cross those lines with Sam Elliott, and you'll discover why they call him the last of the real cowboys. But here's what will shock you. The man who rarely speaks ill of anyone has been quietly keeping score. 7 actors who crossed him so badly that he's never forgotten, never forgiven, and never worked with again. What you're about to discover will shatter everything you thought you knew about some of your favorite stars. Because when Sam Elliott, the man who embodies everything decent about American cinema, tells you someone lacks character, that's not just criticism, that's a death sentence for their reputation. Number 7. Alec Baldwin, the East Coast elitist who mocked the West. In 2018, both actors were being considered for roles in a Western drama that never made it to production. During a preliminary meeting with the director and producers, Baldwin made comments that stunned everyone in the room and earned him a permanent spot on Elliott's blacklist. According to sources who were there, Baldwin arrived late and immediately began making jokes about cowboy movies and playing dress-up for rednecks. He suggested the Western genre was outdated and that modern audiences were too sophisticated for stories about honor and redemption. But here's what really ended any possibility of them working together. Baldwin then turned his attention to Elliott directly, making comments about method actors who never break character, and suggesting that Elliott's authentic Western persona was just an elaborate performance for unsophisticated audiences. The room went dead silent. Elliott, known for his diplomatic nature, simply stood up and walked out without saying a word. Later, when asked about the incident, Elliott's response was measured but devastating. Some people understand that authenticity isn't an act. Others think everything's a performance. I don't work with performers who mock the values they're pretending to represent. Number 6. Shia LaBeouf, the method actor who lost his mind. In 2019, LaBeouf was attached to a supporting role in a Western that Elliott was set to star in and executive produce. What should have been a chance for the young actor to learn from one of the genre's masters became a cautionary tale about what happens when method acting goes too far. The problem started during pre-production meetings. LaBeouf arrived at script discussions in full Western costume, boots, hat, chaps, and spurs, claiming he needed to live the character to understand the story. He refused to break character between meetings, spoke in an exaggerated Western drawl, and made bizarre demands about honoring the spirits of dead cowboys. But here's where it crossed the line from dedication to delusion. During one particularly tense meeting, LaBeouf challenged Elliott's interpretation of Western masculinity, claiming that Elliott's characters were too civilized, and that real cowboys were savage and untamed. He suggested that Elliott had been softened by Hollywood and didn't understand authentic frontier brutality. The breaking point came when LaBeouf showed up to a production meeting with self-inflicted cuts on his hands, claiming he'd been practicing quick draw, and that the wounds were badges of authenticity. Security had to be called. Elliott made the decision that ended their professional relationship. Method acting is about finding truth in character. What Shia was doing was using character as an excuse for instability. I don't work with actors who can't tell the difference between dedication and delusion. Number 5. Ryan Reynolds, the wise guy who never takes anything seriously. In 2017, both actors were cast in supporting roles in a dramatic western that required emotional depth and authentic character work. Elliott was excited to work with Reynolds, hoping to see the dramatic actor he'd glimpsed beneath the wisecracking persona. Instead, he discovered that Reynolds is incapable of taking anything seriously, even when the story demands it. According to crew members, Reynolds treated every dramatic scene like a setup for improvised comedy. During emotional moments that required vulnerability and truth, Reynolds would break character to make jokes, suggest comedic alternatives to serious dialogue, and generally undermine the tone the director was trying to establish. The breaking point came during a crucial scene where Elliott's character shares a moment of profound loss with Reynolds' character. After multiple takes where Reynolds kept breaking the emotional tension with inappropriate humor, Elliott finally confronted him directly. "This isn't a comedy sketch. These characters have real pain, real history, real stakes. If you can't respect that, you shouldn't be here." Reynolds' response was to make a joke about Elliott being too serious and suggest they lighten up the whole movie with more humor. Elliott walked off set and didn't return until Reynolds was removed from the project. Number 4. Jared Leto, the pretentious artist who believes his own hype. In 2020, Leto was being considered for a major role in a Western epic that Elliott was attached to star in and co-produce. The meeting between the two actors was supposed to be a formality. Instead, it became a masterclass in everything Elliott hates about modern Hollywood's self-important approach to acting. Leto arrived with an entourage of assistants, a personal photographer, and what witnesses described as an artistic manifesto about his approach to the character. He spent 20 minutes explaining his vision for transforming the Western genre through psychological realism and emotional authenticity. But here's what really sealed Leto's fate. Leto then presented Elliott with a detailed character analysis he'd written, explaining how Elliott's character should interact with his own. When Elliott politely suggested they focus on the script rather than theoretical character studies, Leto responded with condescension that stunned everyone. "I understand that your generation of actors relies more on instinct than intellectual preparation, but modern audiences expect deeper psychological complexity." Elliott's response was devastating. "Son, I've been playing complex characters since before you were born. The difference is I don't need to write essays about it to prove I understand them. Real actors do the work. Pretentious actors talk about the work." Number 3. James Franco, the academic who forgot how to act. In 2018, both actors appeared on a panel about Western cinema at a prestigious film festival. What should have been a celebration of Western filmmaking became a public demonstration of the difference between someone who lives the craft and someone who studies it. Franco spent his time discussing the academic frameworks he'd applied to Western storytelling, referencing obscure film theory and dropping names of European directors who had influenced his approach to American mythology. When asked about the challenges of playing Western characters, Franco launched into a lengthy explanation of his research methodology and suggested that modern Western films needed to be more academically rigorous and less reliant on outdated masculine stereotypes. Elliott's response was swift and devastating. "I've never needed a PhD to understand what it means to be a man, and I've never met a real cowboy who spent time analysing his own masculinity. Maybe that's the problem with your movie." The audience erupted in applause and Franco's face went red with embarrassment. Elliott's follow-up became legendary. "James has confused education with experience. He can tell you everything about playing a cowboy except how to actually do it. That's the difference between studying life and living it." Number 2. Armie Hammer, the privileged pretty boy who never earned anything. Before his career imploded in scandal, Hammer's encounter with Elliott revealed why the Western legend despised him long before the rest of Hollywood caught on. In 2019, Hammer was cast as the co-lead in a big-budget Western alongside Elliott. The problem started from Hammer's first day on set when he arrived with demands that shocked everyone. A larger trailer than Elliott's, approval over his costume design, and input on script changes that would expand his role at Elliott's expense. But here's what really revealed Hammer's character. During filming of a crucial scene where Elliott's character passes wisdom to Hammer's younger character, Hammer kept breaking character to suggest changes that would make his character appear smarter and more capable. He wanted to update the dialogue to make the older character seem outdated and the younger character more progressive. The breaking point came when Hammer suggested that Elliott's character should learn something from his younger character, reversing the entire mentor-student dynamic the story was built on. Elliott's response was final. "Son, you can't rewrite a story just because you don't like your place in it. Some actors earn their moments, others demand them. I only work with actors who understand the difference." When Hammer's scandals later destroyed his career, Elliott's assessment proved prophetic. "I could see what kind of man he was from day one." The scandals didn't surprise me. They just confirmed what I already knew about his character. Number 1. Kevin Hart, the comedian who disrespected the genre. The most shocking name on Sam Elliott's blacklist is Kevin Hart, and their encounter during the development of a comedy-western hybrid revealed why Elliott considers Hart the ultimate example of everything wrong with Hollywood's disrespect for Western traditions. In 2021, Hart was attached to star in a Western comedy that Elliott was being courted to appear in as the straight man mentor figure. What should have been a respectful homage to Western cinema became a devastating clash between someone who honors the genre and someone who sees it as a punchline. Hart arrived with a team of writers and immediately began pitching changes that would turn every Western tradition into a comedy bit. He wanted to mock everything from horseback riding to gunfights to the moral code that defines Western heroes. But here's the moment that ended everything. Hart suggested that Elliott's character should be the butt of jokes, an outdated relic whose old-fashioned values would be constantly mocked by Hart's smarter, more progressive character. He wanted to turn the Western mentor into a figure of ridicule. Elliott's response was immediate and final. "The Western genre represents the best of American values: honor, courage, integrity, and respect for the land and each other. If you can't make comedy without mocking those values, then you don't understand either comedy or Westerns." Hart tried to argue that everything needs to evolve and that modern audiences want to laugh at old-fashioned ideas. Elliott's response became legendary. "Son, there's nothing old-fashioned about treating people with respect and standing up for what's right. If that's funny to you, then you're the joke." The project was eventually made without Elliott, and it bombed spectacularly, proving his point about respecting the genre's traditions. The code behind the blacklist. What connects all 7 of these stories is a fundamental violation of the code that Sam Elliott has lived by throughout his entire career. Elliott doesn't just play cowboys and Western heroes, he embodies the values they represent. Alec Baldwin mocked Western values and the audiences who believe in them. Shia LaBeouf used method acting as an excuse for instability. Ryan Reynolds refused to take anything seriously, even when the story demanded emotional truth. Jared Leto confused pretension with artistry. James Franco tried to intellectualize what can only be lived. Armie Hammer used privilege to demand unearned respect. Kevin Hart wanted to profit from mocking everything Elliott holds sacred. Each violated Elliott's code in their own way, and each learned that crossing Sam Elliott means losing the respect of one of Hollywood's most authentic voices. Elliott's blacklist isn't about personal vendettas. It's about protecting values that are rapidly disappearing from Hollywood. Authenticity over performance, substance over style, respect over entitlement, and honor over ego. In an industry that increasingly values social media followers over acting ability, Sam Elliott stands as one of the last guardians of what American cinema used to represent. These 7 actors learned that lesson the hard way. They discovered that crossing Sam Elliott doesn't just cost you a role, it costs you the respect of everyone who understands what authentic American masculinity actually looks like. Their stories serve as warnings. When you work with Sam Elliott, you're entering a space where character matters more than celebrity, where authenticity trumps artifice, and where respect is earned, not demanded. Because in the end, Sam Elliott doesn't need difficult actors or entitled celebrities. He just needs people who understand that being part of his world is a privilege that comes with responsibilities. And privileges, once lost to men like Sam Elliott, are never regained. What shocked you most about Sam Elliott's secret feuds? Which actors' clash with the Western legend surprised you the most? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. These behind-the-scenes stories reveal so much about what really happens when Hollywood's fake meets authentic. And if you're craving more explosive celebrity drama that pulls back the velvet curtain on the industry's biggest secrets, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We are committed to releasing 2 videos a week. Like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more film lore.